Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you a couple cool projects that you can make out of scrap pieces of leather. Technically you can make these projects with any material you want, but I will be using leather for mine. The first one is a tassel keychain. And the second project is earrings. So these are really simple and easy to make, and it's a great way to recycle scrap pieces of material so you don't have to throw it out, and you can make something that you can use or sell or just repurpose an old piece of material. So let's get to it. The first project we're going to start with is a keychain. It's just a simple tassel keychain, and it's going to be going into this circle and being secured with these screws through it. So I found these tops on Etsy, just by some random shop. So the pattern you're going to use for this is going to depend on the size of the cap that you're using. I would give you the pattern for this, but it's just so simple. I think it's easier for you to make it yourself based on the size of the cap that you have. So to make it yourself, you basically want to start with a straight edge on a piece of the fabric you're using, and then you're going to roll it up and fit it into the cap. So you're going to trim the excess off, and once it fits into the cap, that's going to be the length of this. So that's the easiest way to figure out this measurement based on the size of the cap you're using. And then after that, you're just going to want to have it as long as you want and taper it at the desired lengths that you want as well. So let's get started, and then after I'll show you how you can figure out where to punch your holes. Okay, so I have my edges marked down. Now I'm going to take my leather scissors and cut it out. Now I have the piece I'm going to be using for my project. A few pieces that are so small I unfortunately have to call them garbage. And then a few pieces that are big enough that I can make these into earrings later on. I can go in and find some cool shapes and just turn them into earrings. So I'll put these aside for now. Now back to the project we're working on. I'm going to line it up again. And now I'm going to take my pen and push down on all the marks that I've already made. This will show me where to punch my holes. And I will show you how to figure out where these holes will be in just a second. Now I'm going to take my hole punch and I'm going to go in. It might be hard for you to see the markings, but I can see them. And I'm just going to punch them out. Okay, so now I have my holes punched out. And you're going to want to make sure that the size of the hole punch you use is the right size for the screws that go into the tassel cap. So for me, this is the right size. It depends on the size of the screws that you're using. And yeah, some tassel caps don't even use screws, but all the products that I make are guaranteed to last a lifetime. So I like the ones with screws because it makes sure that this part won't just fall out of the tassel cap. It's really secured in place. Now the next step is to roll up the leather. So I start with the small side rolling on the inside. That way you get the nice long pieces on the outside of the tassel. You don't really want the short pieces on the outside. So as you roll it, make sure that the holes are lined up with each other and it's nice and tight. So once you have that, you should be able to take 2 pins and put them through the holes all the way through. That means that your holes are lined up perfectly. So I already have this one perfectly set. I'm just going to keep going with that one. Now to figure out where your holes are for when you're making it the first time, what you would do, you wouldn't even have these in yet. So let's pretend that this has no holes in it yet. but you have already found the right size, so it should fit into the cap perfectly. So let's say that's in there all the way. What you would do next is take a pin like this, anything really sharp, and match it up. Of course that this should be all the way in the top so you know it's in the exact spot you want it. But then you take your sharp pin, put it through the metal hole right here, take a mallet and just give it a tap tap until it goes all the way through to the other side. Then you're going to automatically have the holes all punched perfectly through. Do the same with the bottom one and punch it all the way through. Just be careful not to damage the needle you're using on the back end. And sometimes this takes a couple times. You have to take it out, punch the holes big with the hole punch, put it back in, and then get the last layer through all the way to the end. It is a little bit hard to punch it all the way through this much leather with just a needle. So once you've punched the holes through with the needle, you would take it out, open it up, and you would have very small holes coming all the way through. So then where these small holes are, you're going to take your punch at the right setting and punch them all through. That's exactly what you need to do to get the right size material and the right spots punched for the holes. After that, you have the perfect guide that you can trace and make a new one and use it over and over and over again. Now that the holes are punched, we're going to go ahead and cut the tassels. You can either be pretty laid back and take scissors and just go at it, or you can take a ruler and go ahead and mark down each line first to make sure that they're perfectly lined up, and then cut them. I usually just kind of go with the scissors because I can eyeball it really well, and because they're tassels, they get rolled up and you really can't see the difference if they are different lengths anyways. So just do that all the way through. Now that I have cut all the tassels, I rolled it up again and put it into the end of the cap. Now it's important to go ahead and make sure one last time that the holes in the leather are actually lined up correctly. So I'm going to take my needle and put it in the hole, and I can hear it hit the back. So that means that they are lined up perfectly and I will have no problems getting the screws in. So the next step is to put the screws in. Now that I have my screws in, they're all the way flush so you can't feel them when you're touching it. And the last step is to just check the lengths of the tassels. So with my pattern, I like to have it tapered very long so that I can go in and cut off the ones that I'm not super into. For example, these ones down here, they are the longer ones, but I want to have them tapered off at different lengths so that I can really customize it and make it look how I think is the best. So I'm going to start with this one. And then I like it just like that. So I think it works the best, having this pattern of a long slanted angle, and then you can just go in and customize it at the end. I think it's hard to get the perfect tassel cuts otherwise. You can't really do it just from the beginning of the pattern. So in the end, this is the final product. It's just the perfect handful. I really like these caps that I found with the movable clasp. And it's just a really great way to use a big piece of scrap leather and turn it into something cool that can be used all the time. Okay, for the second project, we're going to be making earrings, and the way I do it to minimize any scraps that I have to be thrown away is to get the patterns I'm going to use and place them ahead of time where I think they'll fit. So you can see here, this is where I'm going to be tracing them all and cutting them, and there's hardly any scraps. This I will reuse again for more earrings, I just haven't put them there yet, but between the spaces like here and here, there's really not much scrap waste at all. So first things first, I'm going to trace around each one. Now that I have the stencils traced, I'm going to take my scissors and cut them out. Now that the earring shapes are cut out, we need to punch holes at the top. For each pair of earrings, you'll need 2 O-rings, or maybe none at all depending on the design, plus the earring hooks, and I like to always include the little silicone clear earring backs, just to make sure that the earrings won't fall off when you're wearing them. So first we put the O-rings through that little hole, attach the earring to it, facing the correct way. You have to pay attention to that. And close the O-ring back again. Now the earring is safe and secure, and it just needs the silicone back to finish it. So that earring is complete. Of course, if you're going to be selling these, you should put them on backing cards and in a little plastic sleeve for each individual pair of earrings, just to make it nice and professional. So here's a few really great projects that you can have a lot of fun and creativity with, coming up with different shapes to make different pairs of earrings depending on the sizes of the scraps you have, and to make the tassels as keychains. Overall, it's a great way to reduce your amount of waste. You go from having a huge piece of leather like this that you can't use to make anything bigger like bags or wallets, and then you turn it into these cool projects with only minimal waste, really nothing in the end. It's a great feeling, and it's just a great way to be resourceful and use what you have. I hope this video was helpful, and if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up or a like. Let me know in the comments what you thought of these projects, or if you have any other ideas for things to make out of scrap pieces of material. And as always, you can subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every single Monday. I'll see you guys soon.